usually only learn English at school. I think it's the same situation in most East Asian countries, like in Korea and in Japan as well. And my parents are both Chinese, as you can probably tell from my face. But anyways, so I didn't grow up in a bilingual family or anything like that. So the first language I studied is obviously English, and I am going to talk about this first, and then in chronological order, I learned Latin and German at the same time, and then I taught myself French. So those are like the four foreign languages that reached somewhat advanced level, I guess. So yeah. So about learning English, although looking back, English is actually a quite easy language compared to, for example, German, I think. But it was difficult for me as a child, and you probably know for most Asian people, speaking English is pretty difficult, and I think there are like several reasons for that. Because first of all, English is such a different language than our language, like than Chinese to me. For example, in Chinese, you don't really need to change the verb depending on if an action happened in the past or is happening at the moment or in the future, respectively, right? But in English, you have to change the verb respectively, and that for me as a child was not so easy to comprehend. It's just a little example, and so for most of us, although we start to study English from the first grade, I still have this feeling that we didn't learn anything in the first 6 years of elementary school. But for me, luckily, what happened was my dad works for BASF, or he doesn't only works for BASF, but it's a German-Chinese joint venture. And if you don't know, BASF is one of the leading chemical company, I think, in Germany, but also in the world. So the company is really great. I have really a lot of good things to say about it. But what they did was they organized this Austausch, this exchange between employers' children. So that means if your parents work for this company, right, then and you are between 14 and 19, then there is a chance that you can participate in this exchange program in summer. That would mean that you can choose a country where you want to go to, and if in that country there are also kids who choose to visit your country, like wanted to visit China, then we do this exchange, and the company paid for the flight ticket, and since you are living in the guest family, so in BASF employees in that country, so there are no additional cost that you have to pay for boarding, and it's just a very nice idea. And so when I was 14, I participated in that, and I was luckily chosen as well. And it was so funny because since BASF is a German company, so most children wanted to visit Germany, but my dad was like, hey, why not visit Sweden? Maybe that way you can avoid competition, because so many wanted to visit Germany. And hears English, but all I can see is like, hey, how are you? Fine, thank you. Things like that. But then my dad was like, he was accompanying me to the airport before I went to Sweden. He was like, you are really an interesting kid. You are not worried about you cannot communicate with other people. And I was like not worrying about that at all for some odd reason. Only the minute that my plane was about to land in Sweden, I was starting to panicking that I do not speak English, it's not Swedish. But why I say I was lucky is also because little children pick up languages really fast. So I think like with 14, this process is still ongoing. So I just learned English during that 1 month that I was, living with them. I was socializing with, other people in English, and I just learned speaking English in that 1 month. And afterwards, I came back to China and I realized, oh, I now can speak English and I don't really need to put a lot of effort into learning anymore. And it's the same when I came to Germany. I still find my English is, good enough. Obviously, there are many people who speak much better English than I do, but it was also good enough to get good grades in school. So that was my English learning story. And of course, what helps is always to watch TV series, watch everything in the original language and read in that language. So when I came back from Sweden, I tried to read a lot of books in English, and starting with 15, I started to learn German. I was also trying to read everything in German and in English, and I neglected reading in Chinese, which, now I feel like I'm doing exactly the opposite thing. Now I'm trying to get back to my mother tongue again. Reading in the original language definitively helped. So then what happened was, in China in 9th grade, you are writing an exam to that which would decide to which high school you can go to, and this is pretty important to us because unlike in Germany, where I wouldn't say there are a lot of differences depending on which school you go to. Obviously there are some schools that have a bad reputation, that the kids are more like delinquent and stuff like that, but in general the quality of education doesn't vary a lot depending on schools, where in China the competition is really fierce and everybody wants to go to best school possible, because that also means best unis for the future, and only if you get to the best universities you are going to land good jobs, right? So school is super important for us. And so in 9th grade I participated in the entrance exam for one of the best high schools in my city. That school is so special because it is one of the 8 schools in China that provide you to study other foreign languages from the beginning of I don't know, maybe 1960s, 70s. So the school also has a very long history, and although here it is like nothing, in every school you can learn several foreign languages, but in China, that school in my city, it is considered one of the best also in the country. So there first part is a written exam, and it's completely in English, and the second part is like an oral exam. But so they took like, there would be, maybe 1,000 students who would write that exam, and there would be 80 people that passed the written exam, and then from these 80 people they were took 40 to that they would accept. And I was then again very lucky because I passed the exam by just 0.5 point in the exam, so I was barely passing the exam, but I did pass. So then we received the possibility to study German for a year and go to a German high school or stay in that school, and then I would probably study foreign language in university, which is, looking back, also not such a bad option. But because I already set my mind that I want to study medicine, and so then America is not an option for me, because in America you can only work as a doctor if you have their green card or if you are a citizen, right? So and besides, it is super expensive to study in America, Australia, or Great Britain, whereas in Germany it's also expensive, the living expenses, but the education itself is compared to Great Britain, a fraction of the money you need to pay. So at that young age, I decided going to Germany is a good option. So I started to learn German, and German was much more difficult for several reasons. First of all, I think German as a language is not flexible. So if, for example, in English, I think middle in the sentence I can always still change what I want to say, whereas in German, the verb always has to be in the second position in a sentence, and there are a lot of words, I don't know how to call them in English, but if you are a German speaker, you know what I mean, like nachschauen, aufstehen, etc., etc. And those verbs, you have to separate them, and one of the part has to be in the second position, and the second part has to be at the end of the sentence. And if you do not speak them put the verbs in the correct position, then the sentence is just grammatically wrong. So, and also because when I started to learn German, I was already 15, and for some reason I didn't pick up the language as fast as I can. Back then we need to pass B2 to go to a German high school, which I did, but getting a language certificate is still miles away from really mastering the language and really can use the language in day-to-day life. So the first year in a German high school, I have this feeling that yes, I understand mostly what people are saying, but if a teacher is asking a question, then before my brain react and form a sentence, people are already on the next topic, so it was hard the first year. However, I still have this feeling that my German is not as natural as my English, although I've never been in an English-speaking country for a long period of time, and I've been living in Germany for 10 years now, which is saying something, but it's enough for me to get by. And then the third language I learned is Latin, which is really interesting because also the year when I was still in China learning German, my dad took me to visit one of his you need to pass a little exam in Latin, but it's really basic stuff that you do not need to know the language beforehand. However, it was so funny that in my school there are two German teachers, and so I'm in class A, right? And in class B, the German teacher, she speaks like 7 or 8 languages, and she used to teach Latin in Italian in Italy, and she's German herself, so it's just such a fascinating woman. And I told her, I want to learn Latin, and she taught me Latin for a year for free, just in lunch break. Like when everybody else is having lunch break, she taught me Latin, and I still have all her handwritten notes, and her dad sent her books, and she gave the books to me to learn Latin, because in China you do not find a lot of material to learn Latin. Nobody's learning Latin. And we were so grateful to her, obviously, but she really didn't take any money, and she would teach me. And then I was in a boarding school back then in China, and actually everybody need to go to sleep at a certain time, and they made an exception to me that I am allowed to stay up late to study Latin. So what happened is, in 1 year I got to learn all the grammar that I need, and I came to Germany, and I met my Latin teacher in my high school, and she found it really fascinating that I learned Latin in this way. And so she and her husband both became a very good friend of mine. I don't know, it's interesting, because usually we would have this exams where we need to translate Latin original texts back into German, and then they would say that, oh, my Latin is actually very good, all the mistakes I made were because my German was not good enough, which is not true. A lot of the times I really didn't know what I'm translating. Everybody who studied Latin at school, you probably know what I mean. However, I still got my courses Latino after my 10th grade, and sadly, in the time when I was in Oberstufe, so 11th and 12th grade here in Germany, in my grade there was no Leistungskurs for Latin, and but I still really like learning the language. I know probably in my whole life I would not have the chance to learn it again, but for me, the reason why I find Latin so interesting is because I find it's almost like detective work to translate a piece of Asian language into a language it was fun for me, although a lot of my friends said that they cannot relate. But anyway, so essentially I only studied Latin for 2 years, got the certificate, and never used it again, which is a shame. And then I tried to teach myself Japanese and Korean with limited success. But then I also started to study French, mainly because I'm really fascinated by their culture and the literature, and after reading Stefan Zweig's Die Welt von gestern, so the word of yesterday, I'm not so sure how it's translated into English, but after reading this Austrian writer's work about his experiences living in Paris with a lot of other artists and novelists, it really sparked the urge in me to also learn the language and to be able to read in French. So basically know the basics of how to structure sentences, and when you are reading, even if you do not understand certain words, the sentence structure is clear to you. So then you can start to study by yourself. And how do you find time to learn a foreign language? For me, for example, when I am brushing my teeth, when I'm eating breakfast, I would watch YouTube videos in French. When I am doing sport, I would have to screens like one of my iPad with which I'm filming right now, and one of my laptop, and on my laptop is the workout that I'm following, and on another screen is videos in French. It's usually just vlogs or book videos in French. And so after doing 32 minutes workout, I've worked out, but I've also studied the language for the day. And if you do this every day, then you would realize your